back to Rating the List, where we review, discuss, and reimagine popular movie lists objectively. We're your hosts. I'm Brad.
And I'm Jerry. And today we're going to be talking about Brad's number 10 on his top 20 favorite movies of all time. Brad's number 10 is Out of Sight, released in 1998, directed by Steven Soderbergh, written by Scott Frank, based on the novel by Elmore Leonard. Editor is Ann Coates, starring George Clooney and Jennifer Lopez. This story is about a career bank robber busted out of jail, George Clooney, with the help of his buddy, and kidnaps a U.S. Marshal in the process. When the two cons head for Detroit to pull off their final big scam, the Marshal is put on their case, but she finds she is attracted to one of them and has second thoughts about bringing them in. I think Brad really likes this movie, one, because it's kind of a romance. It's very sexy. The lead characters have a lot of chemistry, and the whole scene where he jumps in the trunk with her is very sexy. It's a funny movie. There's a lot of funny lines in it. It's an ensemble cast. There's tons of people in this movie. Yeah. Not just Jennifer Lopez and George Clooney. It's an interesting human story. Again, good people with very big flaws. The main character's in and out of jail because he's a bank robber. Yep. He's super spontaneous too, which doesn't work well for robbing banks, I think. It's a very unique story. There's not a lot of movies that are like this to me.
Well, it's an Elmore Leonard book. I'm a big fan of Elmore Leonard's crime novels. I've never really read his westerns. That's not really my jam. But his crime stories, a lot of them set in and around Detroit and Miami. This one takes place in both, mostly in and around Detroit, but also it's got a Florida setting. A lot of his books are that way. They're set in Detroit, surrounding Detroit area, Florida, or California for the most part. I think this is the best adaptation of any of the stories of his I've seen. I think Jackie Brown is also pretty good. Interestingly, in the same universe as this one. I'll explain why later.
Interesting.
Get Shorty and Be Cool. Also both written by Scott Frank, by the way. Were good adaptations as well. There's been a lot of TV stuff of his stories done as well.
Okay.
He is really known for dialogue.
Yeah.
His characters are generally pretty talky, and they just talk about stuff, pop culture stuff, this, that.
Well, one thing that I noticed that in watching it this time was there's a scene where Jennifer Lopez goes to this guy's house. She's looking for one of these guys, and he goes to his house in Detroit, and it's Viola Davis for one thing,
and Isaiah Washington
plays his brother. Isaiah Washington.
I don't know who
plays Don Cheadle's brother.
He's like
maybe I don't know. He's at the house.
Friends, yeah.
And they keep this random thing comes up where Viola Davis starts talking about how their dog Tuffy died 2 days before, got run over by a car, and they're like kind of devastated by it, but like they're bringing it up, and you're like, what? Okay, it's just really random stuff, which is kind of funny. The music is really good. It kind of fits what's happening. It's very atmospheric for sure. This movie. The film technique really works. The editing really works in this movie, where they have a lot of still shots where like, you're transitioning, but they still it. And then you transition to another scene, which it works really well in this movie. One thing that I noticed on this watch, which I thought was kind of weird, is they're all chewing gum.
Yeah.
They all chew gum at different points. And I think it's to represent cool and collected, I guess.
Yeah.
Because multiple characters chew gum
Yeah.
So that's kind of funny. Steve Zahn is freaking funny as hell.
Yeah, he's really good in this.
He's really funny. He plays very paranoid.
The whole cast is really good. So you've got, in addition, like the criminals are, like George Clooney and Ving Rhames are they're like a team.
Buddy.
And then Steve Zahn's character, who was in prison with them, Don Cheadle's character, who was in prison with them, and Albert Brooks' character, who was in prison with them. So Albert Brooks is like a white-collar criminal, and George Clooney kind of, takes a, just kind of like feels sorry for him a little bit, I guess, and kind of, takes care of him in prison. But then, like, while he's in prison, I guess he kind of spills to Steve Zahn's character that he has like Glenn, yeah. He's got over $5 million in uncut diamonds, like in his house. So once they get out, like, like a plan formulates to
steal the diamonds.
To steal the diamonds. And like Don Cheadle's wing of them come together, and Ving and George Clooney, they're doing it, and they're all together, but like also on their own. So it's kind of, there's a heist movie element to it. And then Jennifer Lopez's character, she's a U.S. Marshal. She happened to be at the she's
in the parking lot.
She's in the parking lot at the prison when they escape, and gets kind of like taken up with them.
Her and George Clooney like have this thing going on.
Like it's like instant attraction. They're like, they're like in the car together, and he's got like his hand on her hip because of the way they have to sit, and it's, it's pretty sexy. And he's like, like basically like talking into her ear, because they're like basically bunched up together
they're spooning each other.
They're basically spooning, and they're having this conversation, and it's clear they're like, they've got some chemistry. And then, that plays out through the whole movie. Neither of them has been sexier on screen.
Yeah, they have
massive chemistry.
Yeah.
And like I said, this is one of the best adaptations of his books. But the way that Quentin Tarantino's Jackie Brown and this movie are in the same universe is there is a character played by Michael Keaton.
Oh, yeah.
Ray.
Yeah.
He is in both movies, playing the same character.
Is he really?
He is. He's a much bigger part of Jackie Brown.
Okay.
He's a major character in Jackie Brown.
But his character is hilarious. Yeah. He's an FBI agent, but he
switches departments, so he's in different departments in each of these movies, which she mentions in this movie how he's like an ATF now or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But it's the same character played by the same actor, so they're
That's
in the
great.
same. They're in the same universe, which is really common in Elmore Leonard's crime books. Like they're all set like in the same universe. So you'll have a character from one book show up in another one as a minor character or whatever. A lot happens. It's fun.
Did he write a book that took place in San Francisco?
Possibly. I don't remember one.
Because there was one book you had me read.
Oh, no, I know what you're talking about. It's not by him.
But that was a good book.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, that author set his stuff mostly in San Francisco.
Okay.
But that's not Elmore Leonard. He's kind of like obviously read some Elmore Leonard in his life, because it's kind of Elmore Leonard-esque.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, most of his stories are kind of the same. They've got a lot of criminals who aren't completely bad, and a lot of cops who aren't completely good, and you just have real people, and they have real conversations, and stuff happens, and
it's good.
Situations,
it's fun.
And there's humor, and it's a really, really good movie. I really like when Steven Soderbergh does his one for me, one for them, because he's a quirky independent filmmaker for the most part. So his kind of thing has always been, I'll make one for the studio, and that does well, and that allows me to make my next movie. Like he did Ocean's 11.
Okay.
But he also did Sex, Lies, and Videotape,
which
is kind of like a lot of people consider it like the start of the '90s independent movement.
Yes.
It was released in Cannes in like 1989, and it was kind of like the beginning of that. So he travels both routes. So this is one of his studio movies, and then he'll do a small movie, and then he'll do a studio movie, and then a small movie, and that's kind of always been his like formula.
Yeah.
And when he's doing the studio movies, I think he does really fun stuff.
Yeah,
like,
it's a great
Ocean's
movie.
11's fun. This one's really fun.
Yeah.
I just really enjoy this movie.
It's a good movie. I ranked it as a 65.4.
Okay.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. It's an easy watch.
Yeah.
So I would highly recommend watching it if you haven't. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, like I said, if you like this movie, and you like to read, maybe dig into some Elmore Leonard. He has some really enjoyable stories.
Yeah, I think I might pick up one of his books because I haven't read it. I think I might like his stuff.
There should be some on the shelf, I think.
Okay. Anyway, if you have seen this movie and would like to make a comment, please do so. Please like and subscribe to our channel. If you want to talk to us directly, please do so at Rating the List, or contact us directly. Please do so at ratingthelist@gmail.com. But for now, I'm Jerry.
I'm Brad.
And we're Rating the List. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.